All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today. We are hosting this session as a bit of a recap from the WHPC Australasia chapter's presence at eResearch Australasia, which was a couple of weeks ago. For those who don't know me, my name is Jana Makar. I'm one of the members of the chapter organizing committee, and I'm based in New Zealand. What we wanted to do is this year, thanks to the generous support of AeRO, we were able to cover the registration cost for 5 members of our community to attend the eResearch Australasia conference. So that was held in Brisbane and brought together community members, leaders, groups and institutions, researchers, all sorts from across the eResearch sector in Australia, New Zealand, parts of Asia. And it was a really great event, and our chapter likes to be there because we host a birds of a feather session. It's just such a good opportunity to connect with people, and we like to try and open doors to access that event for different people who may not otherwise have had a choice or ability or cost. Those things may have prevented them from participating. So we've partnered with AeRO to cover that registration cost and give the opportunity to local folks to take part in that event. So we wanted to hear back from our bursary recipients on what they took out of the event, and then do a bit of a group brainstorm about how we as a chapter could improve that bursary program, maybe do some things differently, or keep doing some of the new things we tried this year, or just have some ideas to consider. So I'm pleased to have 3 of our bursary recipients on the call, Jess Marr, Claire Hearn, and Daisy Lee. And I'll hand it over to them just to maybe share 1 or 2 things that you took away as highlights from the conference. And then we can go around the call and just see if anybody else who attended the event also had some key takeaways to share. And then we can talk a little bit about what we could do differently for the bursary program. And I'm recording, but if you didn't want your audio or video recorded, just let me know in a DM and I can cut your part out. But yeah, maybe to start, I'll hand over to Jess and
Yeah, sure.
if you need.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. I'm happy to start. So, hi everybody on the recording and here in the Zoom room too. My name is Jess Marr. I'm a professor at the University of Queensland and mainly a researcher. Most of my research and I guess teaching as well revolves around bioinformatics. And I am also currently president of the Australian Bioinformatics and Computational Biology Society. And so I feel really awkwardly embarrassed that I've never been to an eResearch conference before because I arrived and then within a few minutes of hearing everyone talk, I thought, wow, these are my people, you know. And so I was really surprised and really grateful to AeRO and Women in HPC as well for the bursary support because I think, there's a huge intersection of e-research capabilities, but, I wouldn't have been able to justify going. So I'm really grateful that with that support, I was able to block my calendar and be able to go pay for the registration thanks to the funds. But I think the major thing that I took away was just it's so impressive to see the community come together. In my line of work in research, a lot of the people who are in these roles are kind of not the shining stars necessarily, but they keep everything going and not falling apart. And so, just to see a whole community where we can talk about the challenges, how to create sustainability. I really appreciated all the talks about career development and employability. I've not seen that at a conference as much, and I appreciated being able to talk to people from different industries about how do we create a pathway for these people that bring so much, right? And especially as we move into this whole AI big data world. And then more locally, Claire will appreciate this, I think, just intersecting with the QCIF team. Even though I know many of them through various collaborations and activities that we've been doing, it's actually, I haven't really had the chance to sit down and quite talk so intentionally. And so there's actually quite a few potential career development, teaching, co-partnering ideas that came out of that conference that we'd like to act on. And then also understanding that birds of the feather, understanding the women in HPC group more and what they're trying to achieve and how much great stuff is there. It gave me some ideas in terms of how our society advocates could potentially reciprocate, maybe bring some of your members to our annual conference and the kind of partnerships that we can perhaps do. There is already a lot of overlap between our memberships. But maybe, you know, stronger together, there's something we can achieve moving forward. So I'll wrap up there, but happy to keep talking later, but I want to keep space for some other people too.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. It was really great to meet you as well. I find too that's a nice way that the bursary maybe allows us to connect with people that we otherwise wouldn't, and which is great for the
Yeah,
chapter for us to sort of spread our awareness.
yeah, no,
Mhm.
likewise.
Cool. So Claire, I'll hand it over to you, and then Daisy, and then we'll hear from Amanda.
Hi all. For those I haven't met yet, my name's Claire. I'm from QSIF. So eResearch, it came at a really awesome time for me in terms of, you know, what my career is happening at the moment. My contract, so I was the skills development coordinator. So my contract with the skills and training at QSIF was ending. And I'm moving into, just the last few weeks, moving into roles supporting both the bioinformatics and the special projects team, the Sustainable Futures team. And so the number one was connections and meeting people. So in terms of, you know, these three realms one that I'd been in and other ones that I'm moving into, QSIF has eResearch analysts that are embedded in all of our member universities, and I had not met all of them in person. So eResearch was an awesome opportunity to actually connect with, you know, people that I had been working with remotely for the last 6 months. But then in addition to that, make connections in that space. So especially with people at Intersect, so our counterparts in New South Wales, and seeing how they're delivering training. And many of those discussions were like continuations of or fed into the BOF discussions that we then had, especially those ones around like workforce development and, you know, the role of AI and skills and training. And I also had the opportunity to meet in person some of the NCI team because we'd done a big project running training for HPC and AI on NCI's Guardi for Australian researchers. So for those who wouldn't necessarily have gone through the NCMAS process to get an allocation, it gives you a taste of what can be done and getting researchers on a HPC for the first time. And so I got to meet some people who I'd worked through that, and then I was introduced to others. And one of the highlights was Kisaru Lianga from NCI, who I hadn't met before, but he delivered a great talk on Nextflow Installer, which is the solution that NCI are using for running Nextflow on Guardi. And that was awesome to hear about because that's literally been the work that I've been working on this week with the bioinformatics team is making, so Nextflow is a scientific pipeline mostly used for bioinformatics pipeline program, and it's fantastic. And then my other bioinformatics highlight was hearing from Julie Iskander about WHPC's spatial omics data analysis platform, which was really, really interesting as well. And then the third part of my interest going into the sustainable futures, the project that I'm supporting in this other half of my role is the WildObs, the Wildlife Observation of Australia. So dealing with management and processing of wildlife camera data. And so I had the opportunity to connect with the partners that's involved with ARDC and Atlas of Living Australia. And here there were some awesome talks about fair data and data management and those sorts of things. But also learn about other projects in that space, like Open Ecoacoustics, which is sort of a very, very similar project, but looking at acoustic data for ecological monitoring. So yeah, across from what I had been doing and what I'm going to be doing, the connections that I was able to make was awesome. So yeah, I also want to thank women in HPC, Women Plus in HPC, Australia, New Zealand, and also want to say a big thanks to Liz for putting me onto the group and being our glue. So thank you so much.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I love that there's so many overlaps, right? And that's why I really enjoy that conference too, is that you can, yeah, just see colliding worlds, sometimes they call it, and you can have so many different interests be covered and attend so many different talks over the course of the week. And then, yeah, just being able to get to connect with people and meet them. I deal with a lot of collaborate with a lot of people over email, and so I kind of consider this my in-person connection time. And once a year, I get to reconnect with folks and then actually put faces to names for all the correspondence that I've had all the year previous. So it's really good that way. All right, over to you, Daisy, and then we'll hear from Amanda, and then go to a bit of an open floor.
Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Daisy from PC, software developer. Firstly, let me thanks WHPC provide me this opportunities to attend the eResearch conference, and especially for the Monday and Friday workshops. That's very useful, especially from such as the Monday. It's about the Python CUDA. It explore me opportunities for about how to use the Python into the HPC and how to in the GPU, etc. Because my expertise is in Python, and it gave me a deeper view for how to use the Python in the HPC. And also during the conference, the 3 days conference, I think it provides a very useful information about how the different applications of the FAIR principles in different disciplines. My current project key point was already used the FAIR principle, so we are seeking other further principles that we can make everyone's the sensitive data more secure. So we consider the other principles and the workshop, those sections, they also mention other very useful and high level principles that we can apply. I think it gives me a very good point of view about how other people in different disciplines see these principles going. Also, I think they also have one section which is about the automatic workflows. That's very interesting about how see those workflows applications, and it's pretty different with our group. I think the last thing is all of the not all of them, most of them is about the HPC, and I think it's pretty aligned with our women in HPC this community. And yeah, I think I also would like to thank women in HPC provide me this opportunity to meet our previous professors and the colleagues, especially our remote colleagues and our WHPC people face to face, and we have a good chat and know each other. Yeah, that's what I think for this conference.
Ooh, thank you. Yeah, it was great to see. There was the week preceding, there was International Data Week, which was a huge global conference that took place in the same city. And I know that there was some wondering about whether or not we would still have a good data component as part of the eResearch Australasia program. But luckily, lots of people stuck around and stayed for both weeks and went to both events. And I think there was a nice, again, mix of expertise and topics covered in that way. So still a good HPC and technical component, and still some nice data perspectives as well. And then the community work too. So you've picked a good year to come along and get the best of it all. All right, Amanda, we'll hear from you as our final bursary recipient. Oh, yes. And this was a special request of mine for you to wear your hat.
Some requests were made for me to wear this hat that I whipped up in 45 minutes when I found out that adults were supposed to wear costumes to Halloween events. I don't know. I now have a celestial wish hat. I will wear it on any occasion where it is deemed acceptable. Okay, sorry for being late. Had a bit of a chaotic few weeks. I'm Amanda. I worked out recently that I've been doing HPC stuff for 18 years. First as a user for chemistry, physics, calculations, condensed matter physics over at McDiarmid Institute and industrial research before it was Callaghan Innovation in New Zealand. And since then, I've sort of moved towards the computer science side of things and machine learning, and trying to get people to get the most out of their data. And I presented at eResearch last year talking about how you can use machine learning to decide which experiments to run on your clusters, if you're going to be fitting a machine learning model anyway, maybe use the machine learning model to decide how much data you need and what sort of data you need from as early as possible. So that's sort of what I do. I was very appreciative of the bursary. I'm in a weird, literally in between jobs at the moment. Finished up at the ANU at the end of July. I think I'm allowed to tell people I'm starting at Defence Science and Technology next March. We'll be joining their HPC team, I have finally learned. It has all been a bit of a black box. So yeah, one of the best things for me, I have to say, was the chance to chat to Kiowa and a couple of her colleagues and just talk to some people who are at DSTG. Yeah, the chance to stay connected in with community while I am figuring out where my career is actually going. Because the academic thing has been a slog for a while. And what else? Sorry, guys, I'm not as well prepared for this as other people. I went to the Gemini workshop on Friday with Daisy, which is Google's equivalent to ChatGPT. They have a useful Python API now, which actually seems to work fairly well for ripping data out of PDFs and putting it directly into databases. So if anyone wants I think I put the link to their repository that had the the stuff from the workshop in it. If anyone's interested in using that, hit me up. I'm happy to explain. They also demoed a command line interface, which you could give sudo access and run it on your computer, which was a bit horrifying. The thought of relinquishing sudo access to Google Gemini was not the most exciting part of the workshop for me, but the Python API seems to be working and able to do useful things. Really enjoyed just connecting in with people and the research software engineers. I forgot, I was going to say, Jana, Emily and I and a couple of others were on a panel for their conference recently. So I got to go to their lunchtime BOF and meet a few of them in person, and they're trying to do some community building and figuring out what they want their
Good. I
sort of
wanted
what
to
the
go
needs
to
of the
that.
community are.
Yeah, I'm glad that you went to go. I meant to go to that, and here's another case of the conference.
There is a lot
bonus.
of things on at all
Yeah.
times, right? And
Oh,
yeah, I
good.
think that they had a pretty strong, like a research computing sort of track this year, I think, because of Data Week. And I would love to give you a bit of a summary of those talks, but it's already a little bit scatty in my brain, and I am not well prepared today.
Oh, good.
But
I'm
yeah,
glad.
I think is that enough rambling from me?
Yeah, no. That's amazing because it's always good to hear too that that you and I know and Daisy and Claire got value out of those workshops and the workshop components too. Because we wanted to make the bursaries as like you get in and you get access to everything. And I think that hearing that you really did take everything in, it is great to hear. And it just, again, shows that there's so much that you can tap into and get value out of, and especially something like a workshop, building skills, right, or putting things and seeing stuff in action is really valuable. So that's great to hear. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I just wanted to maybe call on anyone else on the call if there was anything that you wanted to shout out about what was maybe a highlight for you from the week, from the event, either in sessions that you attended or presented, or the amazing keynotes, or anything else that lasted with you of what you enjoyed, or if you had any questions for any of our bursary recipients about their experiences. Oh yeah, Liz posts that she appreciates the candid report of your career situation, and it can. Oh, and you've got to run. Thanks, Liz. But yeah, that's a case that the sector is in real flux these days, and so these events can be really useful for, as you say, just staying connected to people.
Yeah, it is very nice to, yeah, like I've been lucky to connecting in with eResearch and the sort of supercomputing type conferences has been really nice for me in Australia, right? Because I go to some of these computing ones, like your Edge Australian Joint Conference on AI is in Canberra in a couple weeks and things, but they're a very different vibe. And I really am very passionate about the computing, like just doing science in computers is an important thing. And yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, more ramble from me.
Oh no, that's all good. Jess, you unmuted. Were you gonna jump in?
Oh, yeah, no, I just said unmute, so it's not so awkward, like I'm sitting here with a muted microphone. But I mean, I agree with Liz's comment, and also throwing lots of support down your way, Amanda, in this career transition. I think universities are also, not to take anything away from you, but just generally awful places to be at the moment. And yeah, especially for research funding and supporting critical pipelines and the people who know how to
it is one
use
of those
them.
things where it's like it's a difficult pathway to navigate, and I had a couple of things that the sliding doors didn't quite slide in the right directions at the right
No,
time.
it's
And I'm
yeah.
very happy. Like, it's the thing that gets me is we had this interesting setup where it was computational science within the School of Computing, right? And they hired a lot of us. We got up to 12 academics. And that just isn't like there will be 3 academics left in that cluster by the end of the year, right? It's just not where the computational science is hard, right? It is.
It is, and it takes lots of people, and sometimes that experience that sits within an individual is really critical to
I
like
enjoyed
that's
being
not
in a
just
School
something
of
you
Computing for
download and
5 years,
transfer.
right?
Yeah.
Like that was an interesting change to sitting in like chemistry or physics departments, right? That was interesting, and I think worthwhile, like working with the computer science students and things.
Like
so
it all
definitely a
fits
worthwhile
together.
interlude.
Yeah.
It's not just not necessarily a long-term one.
Well, even, I mean, there was lots of conversations around really trying to drive home the value of supercomputing and, you know, the emergence and future of AI's impact on everything we're doing. And I find that sometimes a lot of the keynotes that they bring in for the conferences and hopefully a bit of the attention and ear they get of government and other senior officials will drive that home.
That's exactly like the panel that was on about Australian supercomputing. So I forget the exact title, but I thought that panel was really fascinating, especially, when it's to this, 400 plus audience. It's a no-brainer that supercomputing is really important in Australia everywhere. And yet it was really interesting to hear the reflections from the people on the panel, like the person from government, I forget who she was, but sort of providing that context about the how science journalism has declined, and therefore like getting the needs for supercomputing front of mind for politicians who have the ability to make these decisions, is there's a big gap there. And you know, in a way, there's sort of that celebration of being amongst so many people who value these and completely understand the necessity of it. But then the flip side of that is like, it is so important we all get it. Why can't the rest of Australia or other governments, you know, similarly rally to make sure that this is something we can keep building and preserve? So, but yeah, I mean, that sort of really struck me. And seeing that play out in so many different types of industry, like in medical research, we sort of maybe feel a little bit more secure sometimes than our you know, agricultural cousins, but at the same time, you know, seeing the guy from, I think, Turn, who was talking about geology and mining and all the data that goes through to weather modeling, to, you know, every sort of industry being similarly affected, of needing more stability, more funding. Yeah, it sort of really puzzled me in that way. And then you've got the kind of commercial providers, like the Japanese keynote, who just had, you know, the numbers. Like, I didn't know numbers could get that big, right? Like on his slide about their capabilities, and it's just like, wow. So yeah, I wonder 5 years from now how the landscape will change and how people will be impacted, right? We spend a lot of time talking about, you know, the machines and the infrastructure, but really it's people that make things go, right? So
Oh yeah, I'm from a communications and marketing and outreach engagement perspective, so often feel like an imposter in HPC because I don't actually use the systems, but I try to tell people how important the systems are.
Jana, I
But-
got to
oh yeah,
this is tangentially related, but I got to
Sure.
go with my superstars thing last week. Part of why I got to go to SBS and to talk to science journos for like mock interviews,
Oh,
fun.
how'd it
which was
go?
a good time. I would
Yeah,
say that 4 out of 5 of them were very interested. Um,
they should all be if they're science journalists.
Yes.
You've got to keep in like I was there with 20 of the other you've got to keep in mind that like a lot of the people in front of me were talking about like giving puppies ultrasounds
Oh,
and saving the whales, right? So I'm taking a 4 out of 5 finding this interesting, and 2 of them asking for my contact details.
but that's we
I'm
need to
taking those numbers, right? Like that is
Yeah.
pretty
we need to show the impact and value of all aspects, right? I
oh,
mean,
sometimes I
know.
wish I had a puppy and an ultrasound.
Just do what Kiowa does and just work one into
That's
one of your
right.
models
There's
somehow.
so much data from ultrasounds that needs to be processed and stored. Whales have a lot of data too.
So yes, I am dipping my toe into communications and media training, Jana, and it is the most intimidating thing I have.
Oh, same. I mean, journalists are another breed. I get nervous if I talk to a journalist as well.
And
So
also just being able to communicate to people, anything.
yeah, but I think too,
Other
a lot
than
of researchers want they're doing the work, right? Because that's what they're passionate about and they're trained in, and they want time and focus to do. But yeah, it is, as you say, it's becoming more important to raise the awareness of the work so that yeah, we can keep getting it valued externally. So
Yeah. Jana, I mean, feel free to divert the conversation if this is not where it's productive to go. But I wonder, is there much media attention during these conferences? Like, you know, just to bring some of these highlights, perhaps.
Yeah, I think I can't speak specifically on behalf of the Australasia one, but in New Zealand, we
Yeah.
in the past have gotten not mainstream like the New Zealand Herald, Auckland's daily newspaper coming, but we'll get the conversation or we'll get
okay.
a specific science communications journal or something like that
I
coming
see,
if
right.
we can do the pitch of, and it's usually around a keynote, or lately though, there's general interest in AI is such a buzz term, right? So if we can find a way and say, oh, half of our speakers this year have to do with AI, we don't tell them necessarily how technical and that they may not understand the talk at all, but come and see, and then we can explain and work with them. But it is a challenge to get them there and to get a
Yeah.
bit of that coverage, because it isn't necessarily something, unless it was a big event. Like, I'm surprised that I would assume that something like the International Data Week probably would have gotten a spot on maybe some mainstream news, like, hey, a big conference is in town. Maybe not, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, that is part of some of the outreach that needs to happen, again, just to raise some of the attention around it.
Yeah, it just made me think about, what is the role of, or the impact of activism? Like, I'm not saying we have to, go graffiti walls, but like the idea of just getting those sound bites in front of people who have the ability, and I'm sure there's already something happening, but there's such a no-brainer with these sorts of things, and it's really sad that so many people are sort of caught in that funding limbo where there isn't a sustainable path. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's nice too, because I think these events, like you say, they surround us with like-minded folks, but we can also get energy from them, and then think about, okay, well, maybe even as us as a chapter, maybe that's part of our bursary program too, is maybe there's a bit of extra, additional outreach we could do, because if a newspaper again or media outlet is looking for a nice feel-good story, but look, we are,
This was the feedback that I got from them, is if you've got anything that's feel good and not horrific.
Not horrific. Okay. But we can
Like me, it's like
view or
compassion
something.
fatigue is real, right? Like,
Yeah. But also that just like there was someone who was talking about modeling the weather and how the different systems are like there's not enough, and I'm paraphrasing really poorly, I probably misunderstood the concept, but the idea that you have to model individual systems because there's just not enough data or processing power to connect them all. But then this idea that people experience climate change as weather, so it's not enough to model the climate, you have to model it as a weather change, which is a whole level of magnitude that currently is not possible. So to kind of impact people with your predictions, you also need to predict at that level that they feel that impact. And so it does fall into that horrific bucket, Amanda, I was just thinking, but even just that sort of realization that, oh yeah, even our modeling, like, because we often think, oh, what's the best model? But also what's the best model that someone on the street is actually going to care about is a different beast. And
yeah, that's the thing where I run
bulb.
into trouble, where it's like, I'm working on methods to help scientists deal with data better is a difficult pitch. But the fact that science is expensive, right? Science is incredibly expensive. It doesn't matter if you're using a lab or a computer, all science is expensive.
Yeah.
And I think as a society, we've realized that science is worthwhile.
Yeah.
And computational science is how you get everything in an iPhone, right? It's how you get most modern drugs. I think that is the piece that's missing, right? Like, when we've got this environmental angle of the costs of compute and data centers and the environmental cost that's incurred, balancing that with the fact that, science is a net positive to society, right? All science has costs. And the government invests in science.
I feel like in one of our RSC conference sessions, we had that question, right? There was an audience member who said, how do you balance that morality of you're running your programs in a data center that's using, up this energy, and I can't remember who replied, but they said, well, my aim is that I'm going to find a solution that will then address impacts to climate change, like other way. I'll search for answers that can then solve the problems. Like we kind of
need science has value, right? I think we can build from the fact that science has value, right? It's not just economic value for the billionaires to make money. There is the social benefit of the scientific discoveries, whether they're blue skies or immediate, a new drug. Right?
But I think also that, sorry, who did I interrupt?
Okay.
Go ahead, Claire. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, even the the commercial interests are cognizant of these environmental questions. So I had a chat to one of the sponsors, the CDC, so Canberra Data Centre guys, talking about their cooling system, and that when they propose their data systems, their data centres, they have a whole power management plan.
Yeah.
And I think because, of course, we do that as well for our national research infrastructure, and it highlights the need for national research and national approaches to these things as well, because then we can involve our values and the things that we're actually concerned about, and have confidence in these computing resources being,
And the argument
you
of the
know,
ACT is always the electricity here is 100% new renewables, right? Like that is the situation in this state. Like,
yeah, log into Guardi, yeah, it's not coal.
that is not coal. It
Yeah.
is a different, but I don't know that even I had probably lived here for 3 years before I found that out. Right?
It's marketing. Yeah.
Mm. Well, so I guess looking to next year, and we're going to be based in Melbourne, and hopefully be able to partner with AeRO again, to enable different people to come and attend. I guess, do you have any advice or any requests or any feedback on what we could do to either get different people to come along or do something with them differently? The first year we held a BOF and invited speakers and gave those free registrations to the speakers. So it was kind of to cover their cost of participating in the event. And then this year, there was no requirement to speak. Some of you did anyways, which was great. You're involved in the program, so or had other connections to the program, so that was great. But yeah, I guess any thoughts on what would be worthwhile next year, either attaching it to having some participation in the agenda, or just coming in, like you say, being free to just experience and take from it what you like.
Well, I'll just congratulate you on the diversity of the bursary recipients. So you had,
I don't know, two of you were from QSIP.
Yeah,
I'm just joking.
it's true. But you have PhD students, professors, people between jobs, people who have changed careers, early mid-career research, career people. So the diversity of people that you have supported in sort of all different walks was awesome. And the fact that it came with a set, like, no strings, just being able to go is amazing. Because I think a lot of the time, the first time, people go to a conference might be because they're speaking, and just not having the pressure of that is amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, not speaking makes for a very different conference experience. I'm an anxious person, so it was nice. I don't know if that I've ever been to conferences where I'm not speaking before, right?
And thinking about going next year, and already thinking about, we've already had discussions about what might be talking about from projects that we've run this year. I know that I would bring so much more confidence because of this, the ability to attend and just feel comfortable and just understand sort of the community. Yeah, it was an amazing experience, that because I've never gone before, didn't have to speak. It was awesome.
And I joked that we had two from QSIP, but we did have sort of we only had funds to cover registration, unfortunately. We're not set up quite yet as an organization to cover travel. So we made it that, you can come, but you have to get there on your own. And so it ended up having a lot of people who are based in Brisbane attend.
Like, so the travel was cheaper than registration, right?
Oh, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just wanted to say, like, I think a new job, they might send me to this in the future, to eResearch and things in the future. So if you're ever doing new bursary holders and you want to connect them with people who've done it before, and I am there, happy to do that. If that helps with getting people, you know, you were doing so much, you were doing so many things, right? Like, you know, happy to always, you know, if I'm going to be there, happy to connect in with the next round of people.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Um,
Yeah, I guess any from folks like Kelsey or Paula or Linda and Jinyu, if there's, can you think of maybe ideas or suggestions that you might have of other ways we could offer value to people who are either coming to an event like this for the first time or needing sort of that doorway, gateway into this community, or things that we could think about trying? Maybe it's even pre or post event type things. Like this was to be a bit of a
So I did chat to a
training.
couple people about, like, is there a way we could get students or very early, like sort of the, hey, this exists as a career, you know, your computing students,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
students in whatever city it is, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hard for them to even attend a full conference or even pay for a 1-day membership. Yeah, a 1-day, whatever the thing is, registration.
Yeah.
What is it called? Registration.
Yeah.
But maybe having a pre or post event, or getting them in for the breakfast or something, or just having a student event, right?
This
That
is
is
a discussion that
like,
I had off the back of the workforce BOF, which was that there wasn't a huge showing from students in general. And I am one who has benefited from volunteer programs at conferences in the past.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fantastic. But I also had other conversations around that. I had the luxury of being able to go volunteer my time, but PhD students or people that are exchanging, you know, time that they could actually be making money to live for, you know, volunteering at a conference, it's a really, really hard sort of line to walk. And so in terms of, you could potentially like, and it was something that I was, you know, discussing that AeRO might be able to do, is offer a volunteer program, but it's truly volunteer. So, you know, they've got their conference organizers, but basically it's sort of a, you know, gives a volunteer a job to maybe help with bump in, bump out, posters up. And once again, talking about promoting it, maybe a bit of social media expertise or something like that, creating little web clips or something. So I don't know if that's something WHPC would be interested in, but like even AeRO.
Yeah. Kelsey, you've got your patiently hand up.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks everyone for sharing your lovely perspectives, and congrats, Jonna and the chapter on the program. It's fantastic. I'm Kelsey. I'm from Access NRI, the climate modeling infrastructure. Actually, my boss was the one giving the HPC needs for climate.
Right. Yes.
Just a quick thought from my perspective. I don't know if it would be useful, but ahead of the conference, doing like the people and networking side, I think from this event is so fantastic. And if the participants would like to connect with like a buddy or a mentor or anything within the chapter or the broader, like doesn't even have to be the chapter, but I guess if there's anything ahead of the conference where, you know, to keep that pressure and the, you know, the fact like you can do what best suits you, but if you need that lay of the land, or hey, what to expect, or can I just have a friendly face to come and, you know, rock up for the coffee, you know, break. If I put my hat back on to first conference, you know, those were the scary moments, or not even first conference, but first conference for a group you might not, you know, typically engage with, can be, you know, in nerve-wracking on the interior, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. We tried a little bit where we did a pre-session meeting, but it it was just me and then the bursary recipients, and then it's like, okay, see you there. And then the first day happened and everyone was spread everywhere
Yeah.
and I was busy, and then I was thinking,
Yeah.
I hope they're all okay. And I don't think I ever saw any of you until, I think, Jess, we didn't even bump into each other until maybe the third day or
Yeah,
something. Like,
I
it's
think
just
so. Yeah,
because
the
it's such a
buff.
big
Yeah,
event. But you're
I
right,
know,
if we
I
could
know.
get more people in as buddies. I mean, you were all great and you all seemed to survive and you found each other. So that was awesome, like on the first day at the workshop. But yeah, do that buddying, partnering up a bit more too, because then I think as well, Luke talks about how he brought Aylin for her first year and just walked her around and introduced her to everyone. And sometimes just having that connection or standing with someone who other people will come up to, and then you can just listen in on conversations, can be really helpful too. That's a great suggestion. And then it's not all loaded on just one person who then it's only one person, right? So it's hard to connect, but yeah, I like that. We could do a
Yeah.
call out and see who would like to be a buddy for our recipients as well. I'm gonna write down your
mean-
name, Kelsey.
Yeah, now you know about that. I also went to eResearch New Zealand for the first time a few years ago, and what happened was that somebody wrote an email saying the organizers, Paula is attending, and just look after her and I say
Oh.
hello, and that was really nice. I had a few names and like I didn't know people there, so it was really nice to have contacts beforehand, and that didn't take any time, right? But the
Yeah.
idea of a pre-meeting, it's great if you've done that. And I think the other thing I wanted to say is probably different for students than for professionals. So I think having a different scholarship for students and having a bit more preparation. I also attended eResearch for the first time as a PhD student, and I was invited by someone. And there was a session which was free, so it was not people registering, and there are some of those at eResearch, so at least you get to know the people and see how it works. And also if you are invited, somebody is there with you, you have a face that you recognize. But for professionals like Claire, if you went there, all your team was there, you already have connections, right? So it's quite a different situation when you're a student and you might know the topic. Yeah, like you can be an expert in your field as a PhD student, but you don't know who to talk to. So just people have like an email that says, oh, this and this and this people are working in a similar thing. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and Linda makes a good point in the chat too. I think that is an area where we as a chapter could look to maybe get a bit more exposure and awareness of is the student networks. Because we don't necessarily have tapped into that quite yet. So but now we've got connections into universities and Jess and that sort of thing. So that can help.
Absolutely.
Yes, I know the Computing Student Society folks.
Oh yeah, and you're still
At
still
least
got
the
strong
ANU
connections.
ones who seem to know
Thanks,
everyone at
Casey.
the other universities. The subset of them who are interested in high performance computing is not huge, but it's non-trivial, right?
Yeah. But again, this conference is like you don't necessarily have to be HPC, right? Like it
Yeah,
could be,
yeah. Well,
data
even
comms.
Kewa was talking about her background, right? Being kind of really theoretical math, but then, going into this space. And yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to provide lines into universities. I mean, I met some on the Slack, some people from UQ who are based here, but have never met face to face. And so I think there's a lot more connectivity there that we can do. But I know we're coming up to 12:30, but I mean, Jana, I just wanted to ask you, like, you guys have been so kind to extend the bursary to us, but also ask us how we can make it better for the bursary recipients. But I mean, to flip the question in terms of the chapter though, like, are there ways that would help? Like, what are sort of the challenges? And it's probably a big question, but like, are there ways that, this bursary scheme can help add value to the chapter or sustainability or visibility or anything that's positive in that effect?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of times a lot of what we do is very in the moment and we go all in for that event and then it's great and then we move on to the next thing. And so I think as a chapter, I want to be able to, this is the first time we've done a bit of a post-conference even recap and sharing.
Yeah.
And so this is great because now it's been a couple months and we're still connected. So that's
Yeah.
great. The only reason that Malvika couldn't come is because she was sick today. And so I'm really happy that we've been able to maintain contact with you all.
Mhm.
And so I think that if we can just sort of continue to do that, and next time we have something that we want to share, like another bursary opportunity or a call for speakers, or again, just awareness of our fortnightly chats, which are just casual catch-ups. Irene, who had connected at the very beginning, and then she was like, oh, this seems like a very specific talk. I don't think this is the one I was after. She was probably after just our more casual ones. I think just continuing to help us spread the word, because we, again, kind of like scientists, get very head down sometimes and just we're doing the
Yeah.
work and we forget to
Yeah.
talk about ourselves. I know, Linda, you've come on mute. Yeah, do you want to jump in too?
Yeah, I had a thought, which is we have neglected the Women HPC social media channels a little bit, but one thing that would help is to send us, I don't know if we already have a photo, but maybe a photo, like a headshot and a line or two about
Yeah. Sure.
something you want to say about the experience
Yeah.
that we can then use to promote and go, hey, you know,
Yeah.
experience, and, you know,
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
capitalize on it and raise awareness and say, you know, if you're interested in future kind of things like this, then jump into the Slack and, you know, just keep on building community that way. And also just tell everybody about us.
Yeah, no, we'll do. And yeah, I'd love to come back for a fortnightly chat, you know, just to because I think, yeah, it just I think I overlooked that value of just building that community more consistently. And yeah, the buff discussion I think was really great. I was so impressed by what Rosie was saying on the panel. I think that was really inspiring, but also that whole discussion was yeah, it kicked off a lot of ideas and thoughts. So thank you.
Yeah. And I think, and thanks, that's a great point, Linda, too, because we did a community survey that was open from mid-June, I think, or July, to closed it in October. We had wanted to share the results at eResearch, and then we got busy and we didn't. But so I'm going through compiling the results now, and we're going to share. But one of the major things that people said they'd like to see our chapter do is raise the visibility of women in the sector, Women Plus. And so, showing, you know, different roles that they have, different ways they've gotten into those positions and things. So that's a great call out to, if there is something that we can share across not just our Slack, but LinkedIn, and be like, look who, you know, was part of the conference and part of our chapter. I think, it just raises that visibility that we're here and, you know, we're doing cool stuff and you can too. So that would be really good to help us raise that visibility. And then,
Great, we
if
can
you
do
want
that,
to put your hand up, we can, we always have opportunities to, if someone, or students that, you know, if they want to take control of our LinkedIn for, you know, and put a post up a couple times a month, that would be just more hands make light work. So that's always welcomed too. So yeah, well, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for connecting and sharing your experiences. And we're at 3:30, so I think we'll wrap it up there. And we look forward to staying connected on Slack and newsletter and that sort of thing, and our fortnightly chats, and hopefully the next conference. So
Yeah, see you in
thanks again.
Melbourne.
Yeah, sounds good. Have a
Thank you
good
so
rest of
much,
the day.
Shona. Nice to see
BMCG,
you
no
all.
less.
Lovely to catch up. Good to see you all.
Yeah. See ya.
Iconic.
Bye.
Good to see you guys.
See ya.
Bye.